Hi there and welcome to this video. My name's Kris. I'm an Australian GP working and breathing and living the COVID-19 pandemic, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the second vaccine that's available here in Australia, the Pfizer vaccine. Right off the bat, I want to mention something. Pfizer's the company. Pfizer's been making other drugs for, well, probably hundreds of years by now, but at least a couple of decades. Pfizer makes things like Viagra. So when you talk about I want Pfizer, it's kind of like saying I want Coles or I want Woolworths. The actual name of the vaccine that we're talking about, I've never heard spoken out loud. So I believe it's called Comirnaty or Comirnaty or something along those lines, which of course, really good start to the video, you don't know what you're saying. Basically, I'm just trying to, point out something that makes me giggle every day. It's also called the BioNTech vaccine because that's the company that worked with Pfizer to create it. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to refer to it as Pfizer. As I alluded to, this is the second vaccine, second to the AstraZeneca vaccine, which we got on our shores first. If you've watched that video, you know this fact already, but we don't make Pfizer on shore here in Australia, but we do make the AstraZeneca. So we do have a slight shortage of Pfizer here in Australia, and we do rely on the generosity of other countries in outbreaks such as the one in Sydney currently to send us Pfizer, send us vaccines so that we can protect our own. There is a little bit of concern around the Pfizer that I've heard in the community, especially in the hesitant communities, the vaccine hesitant or the Western medicine hesitant communities, that these vaccines are not safe. The Pfizer vaccine, before it was released, had a trial of 44,000 people. 44,000 people volunteered. They looked at the incident happening around them, being the pandemic, and put up their arms and said, I would like to volunteer for the vaccine because if it helps, I want in. So, as I also alluded to in the very first video about the AstraZeneca, these were not rushed trials. These were trials that were done quickly because we had the financial need, the population need, and basically everyone was focused here on the old COVID-19 situation. We were focusing all of our resources on trying to end this pandemic. It's been 18 months, it's still going on, but we're doing our best. So yeah, they were done quickly, but they were not rushed. Usually when a vaccine has been created, there are a couple of phases or stages, and they happen one after the other after the other. But in this instance, because of the dire need, because people were dying and still are dying, they were able to do some of them simultaneously instead of sequentially one after the other. So yeah, they came about quick. It wasn't rushed. Another big thing I've heard about the Pfizer vaccine is that it's an mRNA vaccine and it's new, and I don't want to have new tech. I don't want to risk it. It's never been done before. Technically that's true, but mRNA vaccines have been in development since the 1990s. They are older than me. mRNA vaccines and the technology behind them have been researched for 30 odd years now. The very first paper on mRNA vaccines was published in 2005, so that was 16 years ago. So definitely not new. And there was a little bit of a scientific breakthrough about them in 2018. One whole year before COVID was even a virus, essentially. So currently, the Pfizer vaccine is TGA approved for 12 and over, and ATAGI approved at the moment for 16 and over, but this is changing rapidly. It is also approved for breastfeeding people and those who are wanting to fall pregnant. Quick recap, TGA, Therapeutic Goods Alliance, they tell us what is and isn't approved to be used in Australia, and ATAGI is basically the vaccine advisory group. They tell us what we should and shouldn't do with the TGA approved goods. Very simplified explanation. Now that you know, let's move on. So it is recommended for those who are under the age of 60, whereas the AstraZeneca is recommended for those who are over 60 because of the rare side effect that the AstraZeneca has. That is not to say Pfizer doesn't come with rare and serious side effects, and we will get there shortly. So how do they work? Similarly to the AstraZeneca, the Pfizer vaccine relies on something called a spike protein on the coronavirus virus particle, essentially. We do not give you the spike protein in the jab though. What we do is we give you the instructions and basically the ingredients, kind of like a HelloFresh box, I guess, if you want to pull analogies, so that once we vaccinate you, the spike protein form, but they have no coronavirus in there. You cannot get COVID from this, and trust me, it cannot alter your DNA. So that your body then goes, oh, what is that? I don't know what to do with that, and it mounts an immune response. The analogy I used in the AZ video is basically we give you the materials to make a cop costume. We dress up a mannequin as a police person and you go, oh, I wonder what to do here. Again, like I said in that video, this is just an analogy. It's the one that fit best and was easiest for me to explain in my clinic. I'm not making any social commentary on the police at all. It was just a costume idea that came to mind and I've run with it. So, it takes about 14 days for your body to recognize and build an immune response. mRNA only lasts 3 days in the body, so it's degraded by the time that your body mounts an immune response. In the case of the Pfizer, about 3 weeks later, you'll be offered a second dose. This time your body is able to recognize the police person costume on this mannequin a lot quicker, and it knows what to do a lot faster. Again, it may only take 7 to 10 days, I don't know the actual stats there, to form a response to the second dose. Then, goodness forbid you are ever exposed to COVID-19 itself, your body goes, oh, I've seen this before. It doesn't really recognize, oh, that's not a mannequin this time, it's the real thing. It goes, I've seen that, I know what to do, and it takes about 4 days for you to mount a response. That's 1/3, if not more than 1/3, of the time to mount a response to then destroy the virus within your system. That's more than 1/3 less. That is a fraction of the time for you to get sick, shed, and spread this virus. This is why vaccines work. This is how they stop you from getting into hospital. So common side effects of the Pfizer vaccine are pretty much the same as the AstraZeneca vaccine. Fever, headaches, muscle aches, joint aches, feeling very fatigued. The rare side effect that can occur in the Pfizer vaccine is one of two things, myocarditis or pericarditis. Myocarditis is inflammation, not infection, but inflammation of the heart tissue itself. And pericarditis, again, is inflammation, not infection, inflammation of the lining around the heart, the pericardium, peri meaning outside. The signs and symptoms of this may include feeling short of breath, having chest pain, feeling really faint, having palpitations, not being able to move without needing to really catch your breath, so shortness of breath on exertion. This rare side effect seems to be more common in men and those under 30, but this does not mean that if you are a male under 30 that you shouldn't get the Pfizer vaccine or any COVID-19 vaccine. This rare side effect, the myo or pericarditis, 1, can occur without having a vaccination, and 2, is more likely to occur if you get COVID. Then not only do you have inflammation of the heart, you also have COVID and everything that comes with it, from the breathing difficulties to ending up in ICU, maybe going to septic shock. The vaccine is safer than the virus. So I'm going to read a couple of stats because I'm really bad at memorizing things off the top of my head for a video. After 2 doses of the Pfizer vaccine, you are 93% covered against the alpha strain of the COVID-19 virus, and 88% covered against the Delta strain, which is the one currently causing mischief here in Australia, and I think everywhere else in the world. Although I am appreciative there is Lambda in Japan, I'm watching this closely, it's very scary too. These stats may seem far greater to the AstraZeneca, where you're only about 75 then 67% covered against Alpha and Delta, but of course the best vaccine for you is the one that is available and the one in your arm. Again, we don't make Pfizer, we're waiting for it all the time. Still waiting where I am sometimes. We've only just got it locally. Just like with AstraZeneca, even if you get vaccinated, you can still get COVID-19. So if you have symptoms, despite being vaccinated, please go get tested. So essentially, we've got 2 very good vaccines. We've got the AstraZeneca and we've got the Pfizer. Neither of them are perfect. One has side effects relating to the heart, one has side effects relating to blood clots. But statistically, your risk of having either one of these is minuscule. Like I said, 1 in 100,000 or 0.0001%, which is 10 times higher if you get COVID, or 0.001%. Vaccination is not just about you. Vaccination is about protecting your fellow men, women, and children. Those who can't be vaccinated due to age, due to illness, due to comorbidities, due to allergies. It's about trying to get us back to normality, whatever that looks like in the future. Vaccines alone cannot prevent the spread of COVID-19. Ultimately, guys, I want this to end just as much as you do. I want to go back to normal. I want to stop living in fear. The best way for us to do that, though, is to reduce the amount that this COVID variant, or all of the variants, is being spread around. And vaccination is one of the best ways, if not is the golden standard for us to do so. Yeah, we're going to live with COVID for a long time. I'm not denying that. I don't like it either, but it's the truth. But why should we accept a 1 in 38 death rate from a virus that we have a vaccine for? Why shouldn't we just roll up our sleeves and protect our fellow man? There's no chips in it. We're not altering your DNA. It doesn't cause miscarriages or infertility. There is no reason to fear it. Yeah, there's a risk that you might get sick. There's a risk you might get sick from COVID. There's a higher risk you'll get sick from COVID. There's a risk that you go and drive your car and you have an accident. There's a risk you go outside in a storm and you get struck by lightning. There's a risk that you will choke on food or water or the next thing that you eat or drink. There is a risk that you will trip in the middle of the street and knock your head. There is a risk for everything, but we do our best to prevent that. That's what preventative medicine is, and that's the bread and butter of GPs like myself who have been working out butts off, always, but especially since the pandemic started. So that was the video on Pfizer. If you liked it, obviously please do like and subscribe and all that YouTubey stuff. You'll see this video interlaced with vlogs and sort of happy memories that I had from earlier this year when my husband and I were able to travel interstate. If you have any questions though, or any suggestions about what you would like me to do education-wise, video-wise, rant-wise, please let me know. But until then, please stay safe, please stay healthy, please consider getting vaccinated. The best vaccine is the vaccine that you can get. The one that is in your arm is the best vaccine for you. But I will see you next time. Bye.